Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Adi and I am a third year foreign medical student currently studying in Philippines. So in today's video, I'm going to be interviewing one of my friends who recently graduated from Russia. He studied and trained in Russia as a medical doctor. If you're an intending medical student or a prospective medical student and you're wondering which of these countries best suits you, then this interview is for you, because we're actually going to be giving like similarities and differences between studying medicine here in Philippines and studying medicine here in Russia. So without wasting much time, let's just head right into the interview. So usually I like to tell my guests to introduce themselves, even though I've already told them what this video is about, but I would also like you to introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Nidun Defo. I'm a medical doctor, and also I'm a staff of Volgograd State Socio-Pedagogical University in here in Russia. Okay. And I happen to be the international representative of this university. So I deal with foreign delegates, and I also happen to be more of like a translator, an English translator to this university because, well, it's a Russian university. So definitely people here speak Russian. So me having to speak both languages, so I happen to help out and, with foreign delegates, and also take care of foreign students, international students, help them out with admissions and whatever they need, I'm more like a tour guide for delegates, and also a curator and a support system for new foreign students who come into the university, come into the city.
That's really a lot. That's really a lot. You just mentioned that you translate. That means you can speak Russia. You speak fluently.
Yeah.
Wow. That means you learned how to speak Russia when you got there.
Yes, this is something that it's one of the advantages of studying here in Russia, because you get to learn other languages. Okay. First of all, when I got to Russia, actually, when the first time I came, it was actually in Crimea. Then it was still under the Ukraine. So then I did first of all, you have to do a 1-year language program. So I did it in that was Ukraine. I did it there, 1-year language program. So I had to learn the language, I had to communicate. And afterwards, during the period of the crisis, I had to move to the Russian nation, Okay. So, yeah, so it's normal. And most people that studied, graduated in Russia, they could speak Russian.
Okay, so let's come down from the professional aspect. You guys, Nedum, we actually grew up together in the same church, right?
Of course.
Back then in Lewi in Anambra State of Nigeria.
Yes.
So basically we attended the same church. I think your dad was a pastor in that church, right?
Yeah,
your dad was a pastor in the church.
Yeah.
And then at some point we even met again in University of Nigeria in Nsukka, right?
Correct.
At that time, what were you studying in UNN?
Okay, then you remember then we were actually in the same faculty.
Yeah, I was in biochemistry.
You were in biochemistry. I was in plant science. Right then it was called botany, but now it's plant science and technology. I was in botany. Okay. Botanical sciences, something.
Was that what you wanted? Or
of course, that's not what I wanted. Actually, okay, see what happened.
Okay.
Then my parents were actually staff in that university in UNN. So I wanted to feel medicine in my application. My dad said, no, don't feel medicine, because he knows he being part of the system, he knows what goes on. So he was like, why don't you feel it might be a lesser course? So the most important thing is for you to just get access into the university. Get into the university first. Go for maybe any biological science courses, and maybe when you get into the system, you kind of assess the system, and maybe probably later on you could decide to go into a different course, because I see this. Because he has been in this, so he sees the kind of the trauma that most young people go through when they want to get into the university. They have to write, and maybe you're going for medical course, and it's very, it's outrageously high. Like sometimes you have a cutoff mark to be 292, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
300, 280. And
okay, just hold on. Sorry. For people who really don't understand what he means, in Nigeria, we usually take this exam called JAMB, and you're supposed to get a very high score if you want to study courses like medicine, pharmacy, and then it's very, very high. Like it's quite competitive. It's very high. Yeah. So
of course.
Go ahead.
Of course. So yeah. So he was like, you know how difficult, how competitive it is. So let me try and put in a very, easy so you get into the university. You don't have to go through all those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was what happened. I had to go for that. Now, actually, that was what I filled in my JAMBs.
Wow. So the plan then was when you get into plant science and technology, then maybe in your second year you switch over to medicine. Was that the plan?
Yeah, that was the plan. After that, I disappeared.
Explain.
The reality is that 70% of people in that faculty, they had a plan. Okay. Their first choice was medicine or pharmacy. That was it. So that's the reality. Most people in biological sciences, their plans, it's either they want to study medicine or other faculties. And something happened, and it happened. They ended up there. So what happened was that I rewrote the exams. I rewrote the exam. Okay. I scored. What was it that I scored? But I didn't score up to the cut. I didn't score up to the cutoff mark. But I scored up to the cutoff mark on some other health science courses. So I went into I left biological sciences. I went into the health science course, and those ones that go to Enugu. Then you have two campuses. Yeah. So once you finish, you do the first year in a different city. Then the second year you do it in the main campus in Enugu, where you have the UNTH, the University Teaching Hospital, in a different city. Mm-hmm. So that was, you know what I mean. Yeah. So so when we got there, it was easier because there you have that was where you have the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So it was easier for me to switch, and I switched. Then I went into nursing sciences.
Really?
I never had the intention of doing. I didn't see myself doing nursing. It was just a means to an end.
Why Russia? When did you decide to go to Russia? Who told you about Russia at that time? Because this was what year? This should be around 2008, 9, thereabouts.
Yeah, around that time, yes. Actually, the first country I went to was Ukraine, not Russia.
Okay.
So there's this family friend, and she was like, the mother, she's a professor too. Okay. She's a professor in this university, in University of Nigeria. Okay. So she has a daughter who is about my age or so. So she was like, because of conversation, she realizes that this is what I wanted to study. And the daughter, she was like, my daughter also, she's studying this, and she's in Ukraine.
Okay.
And and one thing about Nigerian universities and universities abroad. In Nigerian university, you getting into the medical science courses, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to graduate. You know how far. You could have some issues in your second year. You could have some issues in your third year. So And she was making a valid point. And if you're in universities in abroad universities, it's easy for you to, once you get in, it's much more likely that you're going to graduate as a doctor,
Yeah, so
without having some of this fiasco. Yeah. So because there is always in Nigeria, there is always this fear of having they say a short list. Even in your third year, you could be shortlisted. Yeah, you could fall short. They could kick you out.
I think
they could kick you out to your fourth.
I think that's something some universities need to address. I think I even heard that some universities have a quota, like there's a certain number of medical doctors they're supposed to graduate. So once you get into maybe your third year or your fourth year, they start slashing people, even though you're passing. They just find a reason, or they just increase the cutoff, the passing grade to a very ridiculous, score. I really think it's something they really need to look into.
Yeah. I faced that anyway. So that was what was happening. So I was like, wow. And she made a very good point. So I thought about it. I was like, wow, this is a great point. And we started making plans for that. And my one day my dad called me. I was like, I've thought about this. Maybe you should give it a try. You need to go. And I was like, really? I said, yeah. I thought it was a joke. It was when they sent me some form to start filling, and they said, "Oh, this is the date for your interview. You're going to that was it." Then it was in Abuja. Yeah. You're going to the embassy. That's when I realized it was serious. Wow. Man, the process it was very hectic. It was quite a Herculean task. But at the end of the day, we got the visa and all that. So that was how I went. I ended up in the Ukraine.
Okay, yeah. But then what were like the requirements, like for someone who wants to apply to medicine in okay, you said that then it was Ukraine.
It was Ukraine. Okay. Afterwards.
But how about Russia? Do you know the requirements for medical school?
Of course. So I left Ukraine partly because of the crisis. Then the city where I was, it was in Crimea. If people are quite conversant with the news back then in 2013, there was a time when the president of Russia came and invaded, occupied with his army, occupied this territory and took it and and took it. Now it's part of Russia. So that was where I did because normally if you want to study in Russian country, first of all, you have to do a language course. That language course, you learn the language, and afterwards you study you now go into the discipline that you want. So in that, my intention was actually to study in Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia, they are similar. Okay, they pretty much speak the same language. So what happened was that, yes. So what happened was that afterwards, when this crisis started, I had to come back to Nigeria and reapply for Russia. Now, Russia, not Ukraine, Russia, because seeing that
crisis.
Yeah, because of the crisis. Then seeing that they speak the same language, instead of me going to Poland or in different countries where I have to start all over again, why don't I go to a different country? Yeah, I had to come back to Nigeria, and I decided I reapplied. It's quite similar. First of all, you get invitation from the university where you want to where you intend to study. Getting the invitation. After getting the invitation, you wait for some time. Then it was a very Herculean task. Then so it was difficult. Then you have to.
Before you get the invitation, do you need to submit some documents to the school before they give you an invitation letter?
Yeah, actually, I had a friend back then who was studying in the university here in Russia. So what the guy did for me was to take my documents. What document do I need to send? I just had to send a copy of my biodata, my passport, international passport biodata. So it's a scan of it. I just sent a scan, and with that scan, they get the IV. No exams needed, nothing needed. So they just get the admission letter with your biodata.
Just biodata. They didn't require your WAEC certificate, nothing like that.
then it's not quite needed. Then just your biodata.
How
So
about
I
now?
use that.
How about now? Is it the same?
Yeah, it's quite the same. Similar, yeah, quite the same. Some universities actually require your WAEC result at first, because then you just take your biodata. But okay, let's just say you have to send in at some point. You have to send when you now come into the country. Of course, you have to tender your documents. You have to tender your WAEC results, of course. But initially, what they just needed was your international passport. I deal with admissions too. So what we ask students to get is just get your international passport, the biodata of your international passport.
I'm just curious, how about, sometimes they say, for example, in Philippines, if you're coming in as just someone who just finished secondary schools, you need to present like your WAEC or your NECO, all those results. How about in a situation where someone didn't pass some courses in WAEC? Are they still going to issue you what's it called, the letter without knowing if you passed your secondary school results? Do you get?
At some point they ask for it, but initially, like for you to get your IV, initially, because the IV actually is not for the course. Remember I said, first of all, you do the language course. The language course itself, it doesn't really require, how much how many A's did you have, or it's just the language course. Then after the language course, then there's when you are now about to go into the discipline that you wanted, maybe engineering, pharmacy, medicine. That's when it becomes very, very bloody. Like they get to kind of they get to screw you, like kind of screening. They have to reevaluate you, evaluate your results. But getting into the country, at first, you don't need to go through all that. Wow. It's just language that yes.
So let's assume we have someone who just finished secondary school now, and all the person needs right now is just to submit like the copy of your biodata, and then you get the invite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Afterwards, there are some Nigerian documents that there's when you now start with your legalizing all your documents. You have you have to legalize your WAEC results, your first living certificate, your results, legalize date of your birth certificate. You have to birth certificate. And you do HIV, of course, you have to get a copy of your HIV status. And right now you have COVID-19, so you have to get tested.
No, I wanted to say something about the HIV. So they need to know your status before you can begin admission.
Yeah.
How about for someone who is positive? What happens? This is my first time of hearing it's an admission requirement.
Well, I've not heard about that anyway. Of course, nobody will tell you
I'm just curious.
Me too. I've not really experienced people who say they are positive though. And maybe I'm sorry. I think it's quite sensitive to talk about this, but you're a doctor, so we have to talk about this at some point. It's quite sensitive, and there's a stigma. I'm sorry to say it, but I don't think people should be penalized for having.
Of course.
Yeah, but they do. This is what they do. Like I'm telling you, this is how they do it. Though I don't know what they are going to do if it turns out positive. I don't know. But I don't think people. I don't know of people getting rejected based on their status. It's just that they need to take proper care.
Health screening. If it's just for health screening purposes, then it's fine. But I don't think it should be a requirement for admission. No, I don't think so.
It's a requirement for getting a visa.
A Russian visa.
A Russian visa. You just know your HIV status. It's just like saying someone has a COVID, if someone is positive for COVID, are they going to give the person visa? You see? So does it now mean it's also a stigma? At some point it is. But this is just the way it is,
Yeah.
So And also, I think you also have a police report.
Yeah.
You get a police report and all that. In the past, they used to go for NDLEA. You have to have drug
Screening.
not drug screening, like the drug enforcement agency, law enforcement agency. You need to have like a guarantors, that could vouch for you that you're not a drug dealer and stuff. But they've actually stopped, they've scrapped that already. They did that when I applied. But right now it's quite easier for people to get, yes.
Okay, so right now all you need basically is just for your WAEC, police reports, birth certificates. I'm just going to list it on the screen so people will know the requirements.
Yeah.
Okay. So then when you come into the country, you do the 1-year language program before proceeding to your program of choice, yeah?
Yeah. That's pretty much what they do.
And the program is 1 year, right?
Yeah, 1 year. Like it's a section, like 1 year.
I think that's where you have it depends on what everybody wants. But I'm just trying to compare it with Philippines. Here in Philippines, even though they speak their own local language, we are actually being taught in English. So I've had this discussion with you some time ago. Like you go straight into school, you don't need to do any language course.
But like you said, it depends on preference. You can also study in English language, but it's going to be quite expensive.
Oh, it depends there's an option for people who want to study English.
Every university in Russia has, for example, if you're studying medicine, every university has English medium. Like you can study in English medium, but the issue is that it's twice the price of the tuition fee of if you're studying with your language. For instance, let me give you an example. The university where I finished from, Volgograd State Medical University.
Okay.
If you're studying with the language, you pay like, I think it's around, when I grew up, of course things keeps increasing, but it was around $3,110 when I studied.
And if you're studying right now, do you know the price now?
The price now is around $3,400, thereabouts.
US dollars?
Yes. Wow. That's if you're studying in the Russian language. But if you're studying in the English language, it should be around close to 6,000 USD.
Wow.
Yeah. There are other options. If you want to study with some people give some there are some centers, African centers, that kind of offer scholarship to students.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
Yes. Now this is how it is, especially in Moscow. The school fees there, of course, Moscow is the capital, so school fees is quite high. So it's almost $10,000. English medium, it's almost $10,000. So you don't need to do the language course for 1 year. Yeah. So people do those 1 year because it's cheaper for them to afford. So it's almost 10,000 USD in Moscow. So for the entire 6 years, you're paying close to $60,000 from first year to final year, almost. Wow. So every year is close to 10,000. Okay. So what people do, there is this option that you could pay maybe 20% of the entire tuition fee. Let's say at first you might say, okay, pay 15,000 USD now at first. If you pay the 15,000 USD, you get a scholarship, like it's a partial scholarship. So once you pay the 15K right now, you're not going to pay any tuition fee till you graduate. So they are going to even be giving you stipend.
Wow.
There's also an option. Yeah.
What's the name of the scholarship? What's the name of the scholarship? Like, do you need to have a certain grade?
No, you don't need to have a certain. You don't need to have. That's one thing about Russia. You don't need to have 9A1, 9 A's. You know what I mean. You don't need to have all A's, all straight A's to get all this stuff. You don't need it. If your money is right, you can get these things. Like if it's just like, okay, can you pay for it? there are people who could afford it, you know. They say, oh, fine, I have $15,000, so I pay for it right away, and I don't need to pay school fees for the rest of my studies. The school pays you stipend. People do these things. Yeah.
So a course that would have cost you $60,000, you end up paying 15. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pay, like if you could pay like
at
15,
once.
Yeah, 15, 20, you know, bam. That's all.
Wow, this is interesting.
People do these things. Yeah, like not everybody could afford it.
Yeah.
You know? But people have the money. If you have the money to do this, you do it and you stay off it, you stay clear. You are good. You are good for the entire
medical school.
Yeah, you're good. So now they now give you even the school now gives you some, I think it's like a stipend.
No, how about your school? How much is your tuition like recently for your school? Like, okay, let's just say average tuition for medical school in Russia.
In medical school in Russia,
yeah.
I would say 3,000, 3,500, 4,000.
4,000. Wow.
Yeah, 3,000. Let me put it 3,500 thereabouts.
Oh, that's really fair enough, to be honest. But then comparing it to my own school here in Philippines, we pay about roughly 5,000 or a little bit about $5,000. But like I said, you don't need to do any language course. So it depends on what everyone
Another thing is this. Russia is the cheapest country to live in Europe. Cheapest.
Really? Cheaper than Ukraine? It's cheaper than Ukraine?
Let me give you an example. Transportation, they have almost the best transport system in Europe. I mean, they have a very good transport system. That's one. Secondly, is they have, for a Nigerian, coming from a Nigerian, I think feeding, groceries, feeding and all those things is way cheaper here than in Nigeria.
Really?
No, beat that. I'm telling you. For example, we know how much a bag of rice costs in Nigeria. Yes. Now take that price and divide it by like 5 in the Nigerian currency. That's what you buy the same bag of rice here.
It's really affordable.
Just
what about rent? How is rent over there? Is it pricey?
I think for a middle class Nigerian, it's quite affordable compared to other European nations. I will say that. But actually, right now the dollar is on the rise. Okay, yeah. So it's been a long time. Last time I was in, it's been quite long. So looking at the value of our currency against the naira, now there is a quite things have changed.
Like let's say in US dollars, like on the average, do you guys pay per month or per year?
You pay per year.
A year.
You pay per year.
Wow.
Okay, let me give you an example. For some universities, a year, if you're paying accommodation fee a year in their hostel, you pay around 300 to 400 USD a year.
For the whole year?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Depending on the city. So, for example, like here in Volgograd, it's quite cheaper than, of course, Volgograd is cheaper than St. Petersburg, Moscow, Krasnodar, all those other big cities. So Volgograd is just okay. It's not as big as the cities I mentioned. It's not as costly as the cities I mentioned. So accommodation fee, hostel fee for students around from this 300 to 500. But there are also classes of hostels. Okay, there are presidential hostels there, depending on the class. There are some hostels that you want to really, really be comfortable. If in medical universities, you want to be comfortable, there are some hostels that you pay 1,000 USD, depending. For the whole year.
Okay, now from our conversation, it looks like most of the universities have students' accommodation, like hostels for them.
All universities have students accommodation. All universities, for the most I know.
I think that's one thing I feel. Comparing that to this place, I think this is something most of these Philippines universities need to address. A couple of them,
really?
it's I don't think they even provide, it's just a few based on the ones I know. Like most of them, students rent their own accommodation.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like in my school, I'm not sure we have a hostel. I'm not sure we have a hostel. Even if they have it, there are certain rules. It's not conducive for a foreign student. Like they may tell you no cooking. How do you tell a foreign student that they shouldn't cook?
Are you serious? So how are you going to survive if you don't cook?
I just
so they expect you to buy outside?
Or maybe I really don't know. Most of us, almost everyone I know, we all live in our own apartment, dormitories. Yeah, something we found by ourselves. Like the school doesn't really have an official hostel per se. You know how it is in Nigeria, how schools have hostels. I really think it's something most schools here need to address, especially accommodation that is foreigner friendly. Foreigner friendly.
Yeah.
Accommodation. Yeah.
The thing is this: people kind of weigh the pros and cons if they want to make decisions.
Yeah.
So are you going to because of the 1 year language course that you're going to do, which is actually an advantage to most people? That's okay. Right now, I can speak 3 or 4, 5 languages. For example, I'm just giving. So if someone can speak, I would. It's okay to also learn another language from me. It's okay to say, oh, maybe I should do this. And it's for example, most of people that graduated from a university, they have 2 degrees. Sort of, you have 2 certificates. You have a medical degree, and you have a Russian degree. Russian degree is that you studied this language. Okay, so it's something, and with that you could get a recommendation. You could get some kind of in most companies, people have used it to get job offers because it's valuable to have that.
For me, how I like to do things, right? I just give people, I tell you, okay, this is what is obtainable here, and this is what is obtainable here. The pros and the cons. So it's left for you.
It's left for you to know.
Yeah, to decide. Like for example, for someone who is very interested in learning languages, I feel coming to Russia should be okay for the person because you get to learn language, you get to pay cheaper tuition fee. But if you're like someone like me, not really into learning new languages, no offense.
It's okay. It's good. It's good. And one thing is this: why is it like that? Is that even if you're learning an English language, they still teach you the language, because when you want to clerk a patient, those patients don't speak English. Exactly. Especially if you go, for example, now during my medical years, like when I was in medical school, you had to deal with, at some point you have to deal with the old people in the hospital. So when you go to the hospital, you want to clerk, they want to take their medical history. They don't speak any word of English. So, and you need that knowledge. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if most people that are even studied with English language, okay, when they get there, you still have to speak Russian.
Difficult.
You still have to speak Russian. They don't know. These people are Soviet, like all those guys born in the Soviet era. You would speak.
Language is actually very important, honestly. I want to even here, like I try to learn the basics, but then it's still very difficult if you really don't know how to speak it. Basics. For example, I'm already in my 3rd year right now. Like we go to hospitals, and I noticed that if you're talking to a patient, you can't compare it to when you know how to speak their local language. Like where I am, I live in Cebu City, so their local language here is Cebuano. So you can't compare to a student who knows how to speak Cebuano. Like the person will relate more.
You see the problem.
Yeah. So
and you need that. You need that knowledge. You need that knowledge.
Very
you need
important.
That knowledge, because there are certain things that even if you speak 2 languages, there are certain things that that there are some languages that better than the other.
Yeah.
For example, if you're asked to explain, I don't know how good you are. some people are good with our local language. There are certain things that if you meet these old women, you ask them to explain something, how they feel in another language, maybe in English language. It's not like they will speak, but they won't be able to express themselves like if they speak with your local dialect. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. And you need that knowledge.
So but are you very fluent? Are you very fluent?
Yeah. I'm not like, of course, I won't say I speak like the local, but I speak, I'm good, I speak. I studied with the language.
Yeah. Can you say something?
What do you want me to say?
Maybe my name is Dr. Nedu and I study in this university and I live in this place. Something like that, just a short intro.
Sure. Yes, of what you need for Yapriya Halis, Nigeria, what ja учусь в Волгоградском медицинском университете.
Wow, are you serious?
Wow. Да, я очень серьезно.
Wow, that's interesting.
Это было очень приятно. Это было очень приятно говорить с вами.
Wow.
You don't know what I said. What I said, it's a pleasure speaking with you. My name is, I just said what you asked me to say. And in addition, you said, is this serious? I said, seriously.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really
it's nice
cool.
Talking with you and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So everyone who studied in Russian language can speak like you?
Not everyone. Not everyone. Actually, I've stayed here one is interest. Okay, there are people who have stayed here longer, but number one, do you interact with the locals? Do you have friends in Russian? Because most people are all about business. Like, oh, I come here, I go from first year, final year, and disappear. I don't want anything to do with anybody. I don't want to have friends. Depends on your social circle. The more social circle you have, the more you engage in extracurricular activities. I mean, I do a lot of extracurricular stuff. So I have the opportunity to mix up with the locals. I have friends, and I learn, and I get involved in other things. So if you're involved in other things, you speak more. But if you kind of limit yourself to only class stuff, of course, you wouldn't know much. You would just know terminologies, how to say these terminologies. But when you want to go into a deep conversation with someone, it will be shaky.
Okay. So another interesting, very important question I want to ask is regarding what happens after graduation. Are you guys, are foreign students allowed to, stay back in Russia to write their board exams, and practice? What is it like after graduation?
Okay. In the reality is that things are changing, before, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, it's unheard of to see a foreign student working in a university like myself. It's somewhat like a foreigner. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
When I say foreigner, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So it has changed. Like me, I'm like the first someone that looks like me to work in that kind of setting in this city. So this changes started as of 2020. The president started making friendly foreigner friendly policies. So this policy, even before, when I was in my first year, when I was still in medical school, they don't allow us to work. They don't allow us to. You don't have the right. They catch you. They can even deport you. They've deported some people during those days. When they catch you working, you can get deported. But right now, they give in Russian it's called spravka. What do you call permits? Work permits.
You spoke that in Russia.
Yeah. Sometimes I.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
Yeah, it happens. So they give work permits now to students to work. So that is one. Secondly, giving it's a step. It's baby steps. We are getting there. And I think last year I worked in some hospitals there, which they've never had people, foreigners in those places, in those spaces before. So things are changing. Another thing is, if you make a first class, they give you residency. You don't need to, if you are, for example, if you are the best student in your class, or they give you residency, they retain you. If you want, you can even start working in their hospitals. It's not like that before. As I'm talking of 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it wasn't like that. But right now, things are changing. Right now, people get to.
So as a student in Russia, you can actually get a permit to work as a student?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
It's not like that, like, let's say 2-3 years ago, it wasn't like that.
But then as a medical student, do you have the time to work? Like, are there students that work as medical students in Russia?
Yes, but it's not someone that, for example, you need to first of all get initiated into the culture, like get really acclimatized with the system. Someone that just came in first year, second year, you can't even make it, because once you need to really get deep into this, maybe from your fourth, fifth year, where you can navigate a lot of things and the system, you can navigate the field, the atmosphere and all those kind of stuff. So it will be easier. Okay. Yeah, students are, well, it's not easy, They do, it's, if you can navigate it, they do all these night jobs, like all this, but it's mostly English offices, English teachers and all that. And
that's really interesting. Here in Philippines, our student visa we don't have like work permits. Like, you're not expected to work as a student. But then pros and cons, everyone, you decide what you want. And another question I wanted to ask, like, what countries, like other foreigners there, aside from Nigerians, what other foreigners do we have studying in Russia medical schools?
Okay, you have all the Arabs, like all the Arab countries. You could think of Egyptians, Moroccans. I've worked with, me as in my experience as an international representative, I've dealt with pretty much everybody. Like, I think Chinese, Japanese, Asian people from Asian country, Indians, Arabs. Like, I'm talking of all, when you say Arabs, a lot of countries. You're talking of Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. Dealt with Ethiopians, dealt with people from, of course, Africans, a lot of Africans, sub-Saharan Africans, pretty much everybody. And going to Arabs, all the Arab people, Syrian, Jordanese, Lebanese, then
that's quite a lot. So they have foreigners there.
They have a lot of foreigners. Like, I remember back then when I was a student, when I was still in hostels, then I've had Egyptian roommates. I've had Tunisian roommates. Morocco, I think, Morocco. I've had people from, even sometimes you'll be in the same room and you can't communicate with English language. You have to communicate with Russian, because the other person doesn't speak English. So the only thing you are forced to speak Russian. In my class, everybody is from a different country. So in my groups, it's just like a League of Nations. We are 10 of us, 10 or 11 of us. Everybody is representing one country. That's how it is. Wow. And not everybody speaks this. We don't speak the same. So we have to communicate in Russian.
Regarding the working, right? For example, here in Philippines, how their local students do is, after they graduate, they go for a 1-year postgraduate internship before they write their board exams. So as a foreign student now that you are there in Russia, if you want to practice as a doctor, what are the processes you need to take to practice as a doctor as a foreign student?
Okay. I said that things are changing. Okay. Like this year, last year, people started having they thought that this could be possible. Do you get it? What people do in the past is once they finish, they disappear, they just go, they leave the country. The new laws they made last year, it was different from what it was in 2019, for instance. So now, what right now, we are beginning to understand that it's possible because of the new laws. It's just something new. So we are still kind of exploring these things. We are still exploring it. Right now, we understand that right now it's possible for you to stay back. It's possible for you to work right now.
In Nigeria, after your 6 years of medical school, right? You don't need to write any board exams. You're already a doctor. So there in Russia, is it like that? After your 6 years of medical school, do you need to write any other certifying exam to start working as a medical doctor in Russia?
Yes, you need to write an exam. It's just that we foreigners, we don't really, in the past, we don't care because it's the citizens. There's a different exam that they normally take.
Exactly.
Once they take that exam, you can, but
as a foreigner, for now, you can't write the exam.
No, you can write the exam. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can write the exam if you want. We don't do these things in the past. Now, people are beginning to say, okay, I think I want to settle in Russia because of the new, I said laws. There are new things that are coming up right now that you can now explore. People are now beginning to say, okay, you know what? I want to settle in Russia because of the laws. The laws they made last year now permits some people to do these things, which we do not personally. Foreigners don't do. They don't care.
How about you? What's your plan? Are you intending to write the exam or stay back? In fact, I know you're going to stay back. The way you are speaking for these people.
It's not about speaking for this. What is obtainable? Like, it's not about speaking.
You're not okay.
No. It's just okay. It's just like telling me. It's just like you're telling me what is obtainable in Philippines.
Yeah.
I'm saying that now. There are something, because if things were the way they were as of 3-4 years ago, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Just practically. I'm being practical. I'm just saying that things like they are making, because okay, I said before if they catch you working. you could be deported. You get it in the past. But as of 2 years ago, they started changing laws, making laws. Like this question you're asking me right now, people don't even think about these things like, oh, when you finish, you stay back, because they're like, they don't even make fittings. They don't even give they won't accommodate me or look at me. But now they're making those laws friendly. So people are doing, people are now coming up and say, okay, I think I want to work here. This thing started as of last year. That's what I'm telling you. It just started last year. People are beginning to, okay, I can settle and work as a doctor here, which is not like that as of when I was in my 4th year. Not even a single person who finished that time remained and said, okay, I think I should work in Russia as a doctor.
Wow.
Immediately you have your plans. Yeah, I'm just telling you, it started last year. This people are making.
Actually, comparing it to Philippines, I think for you to write, like I mentioned earlier, I told you after you graduate here, you go for postgraduate internship, then you can write the board exams, right? But then for Nigerians, I don't know about other countries, but for Nigerians, I interviewed one of my friends who recently finished her postgraduate internship here in Philippines. She can even speak the language, but then she was not able to write the board exams because she was supposed to get one letter from Nigeria. I've forgotten what it's called. She was supposed to get one letter from, I think, MBCN in Nigeria, the body for the doctors in Nigeria, but they refused to give her the letter. And without that letter, you cannot write board exams in Philippines as a Nigerian foreign student. So that's where the problem is. If you're unable to
write here.
Wow. Fair enough. Anyways, what were your challenges? Like, what are your challenges? Or rather, what were your challenges as a medical student in Russia? Real challenges. So let's be honest.
Real life
in this one,
challenges. Language barrier. I won't lie to you now. Come on. I won't tell you it was a bed of roses though. Just think about it now. There are certain things you would want to say, but because of the language barrier, at first it was hell.
Even after
You
learning.
know,
Even after learning.
you like of course, even if you're learning is a process. Like you don't just learn and you know everything.
Yeah.
You get it. There are some for example, when I was in my first year, there are certain things I have limitations with vocabularies in this language. Okay. There are certain things I would want to say, but because you don't have the right vocabularies, you can't just say them. You just try to just you won't even know what to say. You just be speaking your broken broken Russian and English, and at the end of the day, you make a mess of the whole sentence. It was a real challenge. Like then, that's one. Number two is the weather. Oh my Jesus!
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the weather. How is the weather?
Man, you can't. The thing, if I tell you that after 10 years or so, that if you stay here for 10 years, it's possible for you to acclimatize and to get used to the weather, you will be lying because you don't know what you expect. Sometimes it can get so cold that there are some you fix a meeting. Like let's just say you have a meeting and they say, today the weather is so bad, you can't, you know what, let's cancel. Sometimes you have to, sometimes they have to cancel school. They have to like suspend school for like a week because of the weather.
Wow. It's that bad.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. You know, there was a time they said, oh, you know what, there is a holiday for 1 week. The forecast, they said the weather is going to be very bad this period. And you just try to be indoors. If anything you want to buy, you better buy it now, store your fridge, because from next week it's going to bad. We are advised students not to come out for like a week. After a week, yes, it's bad.
So that means it's like winter, like you guys have winter.
Yeah, the winter. Russia is the coldest places in the world, man. Like it's really, really cold. People fall sick, you know, because this is a challenge. Even till now, I still find it difficult. Right now is winter. I find it difficult right now to even go outside. I've been in this part of the world for almost 10 years or so. And it's, I even have goose pimple even time I hear winter. So it's really bad. Okay, sometimes it gets to minus 20, 26, minus 30. In some places you get to minus 40. Yes, it's bad. Yes, that's bad, yeah. So these are the two things I think I have issues with.
Language and the weather.
Language and the weather.
But funny enough, for this Philippines, it's just like Nigerian weather. It's really tropical and it can get very hot. Like really, it's very hot over here. Yeah. All right. And I don't know how to ask this question. Do you think, as a Black guy in Russia, do you think they are racist?
Let me be honest with you. Racism exists in every part of the world. But, at least they are respectful. There are some, people don't like you, but they respect you. Do you get it? I don't expect everybody to like me. It's normal. It's a fact of life.
Yeah.
Even back in Nigeria, do you get it? Back in Nigeria, the fact that you are Igbo, you enter some certain offices in Abuja, in some of these northern places. Just the fact that you are Igbo and you spoke a certain language, or if you are from a different part of the country, you still get that thing. You just feel it in the atmosphere, and this could be cut with a knife, Here, they are quite respectful about it. They don't like you, but they respect you. They give you what you want. They offer the right services you needed. But if someone doesn't like you, the person doesn't like you, mind your business.
So like it's subtle. It's subtle.
You can feel, honestly, I wouldn't really say they are racist, but human beings are human beings. I wouldn't say, these people, everybody in this country is nah. people are respectful. Let me just put it. Yeah, even if they don't like you, they will show it. But okay, you want this? Yeah, I don't like you. And most of the times, because of their demeanor as people, it's culture is a cultural thing. They don't smile. These people, they rarely smile, or they are not like they're not like other Europeans. Like if they are dealing with you, Russians, this is a stereotype and it's true. They rarely smile. Like if you meet an American, even if they don't like you, they just put a smiling
Yeah,
face.
even here.
Hi,
Hello,
hello.
hello.
Japanese wouldn't. They don't like telling you what they have in
Filipinos,
their mind.
Filipinos smile a lot. Hello, hi.
But these people, whether they like you or they don't like you, they are not a smiley. It's not in their nature to smile. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
So I wouldn't really say they are racist. Their policemen are very respectful. I would say their policemen are more respectful than the American police. The policemen, they don't kick your door once they come to your door. You don't. If they knock on your door, they will come. The way they address you. They are very respectful.
Okay.
When you talk about official stuff, they're not.
Okay. So
Personally.
okay. And would you say in your own experience that studying in Russia was worth it? Do you think so?
I'll be honest with you, I'll be very, very honest with you. Yes. Are there things that I think needs improvement? Of course, yes. There are rooms for improvement though. But I think I would if you ask me, I would think I'm a better person here than if I had studied in Nigeria. I'm speaking from what I think, because I wouldn't know if I had finished in Nigeria, how it would have turned out. But I think I right now I have more opportunities. I won't be able to do I'll get to some level I am right now. Had it been I studied elsewhere, maybe back home, it gives me a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah.
I was able to do a lot of things that I've been dreaming about and all that. Yeah, I think it's worth it. Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. Let's say we have people or some students who would want to come to Russia to study. What's your advice to future medical students who want to study in Russia?
Okay. First of all, I would say they should know that first things first. You're here to study, so you have to have your plan. Know what you want. I know some people are here to study and to work. What is it? What is yours? Are you here to study? Are you here to work? If you are here to study exclusively, you need to have backup plans. You need to have people who are really willing to support you to the end. If you are here to work and study, know that you might not get the best out of studies because you have to be hustling. You get it. So that is one. Secondly, just know it. Put it in your mind that the world doesn't owe you anything. So don't expect everybody to treat you like a princess and like a god and all those kind of things. And just do whatever you want to do. People don't need to like you. People don't need to. You don't expect them. You don't have this preconceived notion that these people are racist or this person is a racist. Do your thing. If you're going to make it, you make it regardless of who likes or who hates you. That's what I would say. And stay away from trouble. Like, do your thing. Stay away from crime. Stay away from anything that would tarnish the image of where you're coming from, of your background.
Exactly.
That's very, very vital.
Very important.
Yeah, it's very vital because doing that, it doesn't just affect you; it affects everybody that comes after you.
Exactly.
So that's very important.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Meanwhile, how do you say thank you for watching Adi's interview? Subscribe to her channel in Russia. How do you say that?
Oh, that's a very difficult one.
Are you serious?
Okay. Spasiba za interview.
Wait.
Patpisat Canale.
Yay. That sounds really sweet. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nedu, for your time. I really had a good time talking with you. You guys, thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care. Bye.